Hello folks, welcome to API Test Automation with Rest Assured tutorial. I am Faisal Khatri. In the previous video, we discussed what is a builder pattern and data faker and how to use builder design pattern with data faker to create a request body and use it in the post API request. In this video, we'll learn what is a get API request, how to send a basic get API request, how to send get API request with query parameters. A get method is the most popular HTTP method used to fetch data from the specified resource or server. Its main purpose is to retrieve the data. Get APIs are considered safe as they do not create, update, or delete any data from the server. Let's now learn how to send a GET API request with REST Assured Java. We will use the Get All Orders API from the RESTful e-commerce application. This application is available on GitHub and can be used for practicing API testing. I have already discussed the steps to set up and install this application in my earlier video. Please check the project setup and installation video from the playlist. The link is also provided in the description. As this is a demo application, we should create some orders in the system to fetch them. Check out my earlier video on how to test post API request, where I have shown how to send post API request using REST Assured to create new orders using this application. You can also use the add order API, which is a post request to generate new orders in the system. The Get All Orders API returns the list of all available orders in the system. It fetches the order details in the order array. Let's now move to the code and check out how we can write a GET request using REST Assured Java. The simplest code that we can write with REST Assured Java is to test a GET API is given when get the URL with the endpoint, then status code 200. Given, it is the starting point where request specifications like header, param, and auth can be defined. When specifies the actions to be performed, here it is sending the request. Get along with the URL sends a GET request to the specified endpoint to retrieve all orders, then validates the response, and finally the status code method with 200 expected status code. It asserts that the API responds with the HTTP status code 200 OK, confirming that a successful request has been sent. In simple terms, this test checks if the Get All Order API is reachable and returns a successful response. Let me run the code and check the output. We can see that the GET request was successfully sent and the test passed. Let's now learn how to send GET API request with the Query Params. The RESTful e-commerce application has another API called the Get Order that returns the single order for the optional query param supplied for order ID, user ID, or product ID. All of these three parameters are optional. We can supply them, or we can also ignore them if we do not need to supply these values. But if we supply the values with these respective parameters, then the whatever value that we have given, the records will be filtered and the response will be fetched according to the value that is provided in the query parameters. The query parameters play an important role in filtering, sorting, and customizing the data returned by an API. They allow clients to request only the specific information needed, making API interactions more efficient and flexible. Let's now move to the code and check out how we can write the query parameters with the GET request. The test get order with query param test method sends a GET request to the get order API using a query parameter and validates the response. The query param method requires two parameters. The first one is the parameter name and the parameter value. This method adds a query param to the request. The get method along with the endpoint URL sends the get request to fetch the order. It includes the query parameter ID, which is 1. It then verifies that the status code 200 is returned in the response and validates that the first item in the order array is of ID 1. This confirms that the order requested by the query parameter is correctly fetched in the response. Let me quickly run this test and we can check the output. And we can see the query parameter in the request was passed, whatever value we provided, ID equal to 1. You can also check out the URL where the query parameter ID equal to 1 has been appended to the URL after the endpoint. In the response, we can check that the ID equal to 1 order has been fetched. That means that the API was hit successfully with the query parameter and the test passed. That's all for this video. Do comment your questions or let me know your feedback. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Do like and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.